Good evening, I'm Camelia and this is KiniNews. PAS has voiced out against several statements from DAP leaders. They also called on Anwar to control DAP and stop their toxic narratives.
PAS has called on Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim to control and stop toxic narratives such as the one on reinstating local council elections that had been brought up by a DAP leader. In a statement today, PAS Secretary-General Takiyuddin Hassan said the Islamist party took seriously the latest developments in the country's political narrative, especially those involving veteran DAP leaders, which could cause disharmony. He said this in response to Federal Territories DAP Chief Tan Kok Wai's suggestion to reinstate local council elections starting in Kuala Lumpur. Takiyuddin pointed out that Local Government Development Minister Ngah Kor Meng, when answering a question in the Parliament at the start of the year, had stressed that the local council elections are not the government's priority at this time. He said as a former member of the government in the previous Pakatan Harapan administration, Tan should be more alert and sensitive towards the current government stance and policies, not the other way around. He added that this is unless the statement is also DAP's farce and Ngah also plays an important role in it. Takiyuddin also brought up DAP veteran Lim Kit Siang's remarks on the possibility of a non-Malay being appointed as the Prime Minister. He said that PAS believes that both Tan and Kit Siang's statements are clearly motivated by the strengthening of DAP's position and dominance over the country's direction by ignoring the course which have been binding all parties to a more sane, moderate and reasonable political agenda and culture. Takiyuddin claimed that Tan and Kit Siang's statements have confirmed the concerns of many quarters, especially the Malays, about DAP's true intentions. Meanwhile, Takiyuddin said that the decision to abolish nationwide local government over 50 years ago, as enshrined in the Local Government Act 1976, was made to prevent dominance by one ethnic group and potential racial tension and disharmony in the society.
Rafizi has issued a challenge to critics to face him on a podcast. He added that a podcast was just a platform and a debate can take place on any platform.
Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli has issued an open challenge for critics to face him on a podcast and burn him. This is after a previous challenge to a pro-Perikatan Nasional influencer known as YB Viral was not accepted. Rafizi had earlier invited YB Viral to appear on the podcast, but the latter accused Rafizi of watering down a debate challenge into a question and answer session. In his post today, Rafizi said the excuses given by YB Viral to avoid appearing on his podcast helped prove his intentions to expose pro-opposition social media personalities for who they really are. The minister admitted that he can accept his critics who question him based on facts and real perspectives, but not insults and shouting because they don't understand economic issues. Since YB Viral has declined the invitation, Rafizi said he is now opening up opportunities to anyone who wants to face him, be it an academic, a government supporter or regular citizen. He said he will have an opportunity to burn him and he will have an opportunity to burn them, adding it was better than throwing insults online. The first episode of the podcast, titled Yang Bakar Menteri, the Minister Roaster, is slated for January 8th. Rafizi said he chose a podcast as this would not require public funds compared to a television broadcast.
After a long spell, Lim Kit Siang finds himself agreeing with former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad again. This was over Mahathir's statement on having a non-Malay as Prime Minister.
DAP veteran Lim Kit Siang has agreed with former Premier Dr. Mahathir Mohamad that Malaysia will only have a non-Malay Prime Minister when the Malays, who make up the majority of the population, are ready to accept one. In a statement today, Lim said this is one of the rare occasions these days where he agreed with the former Prime Minister. Lim, who is being investigated by the police over his previous remarks on the matter, reiterated that he does not expect a Malaysian Chinese or Malaysian Indian to become Prime Minister for the next 100 years. However, he questioned if it would take 100 years before a Dayak or Kadazan becomes the Prime Minister of Malaysia. Previously, Mahathir had said that while the federal constitution does not refer to race or religion about who can become the Prime Minister, racial dynamics would dictate that a position be held by a person from the majority race. He said even if Malays are divided politically, they still make up the majority race. Mahathir added that until and unless the majority Malay feel they can accept a non-Malay as Prime Minister, it is status quo. Meanwhile, Lim said it was unfortunate that his explanation of the constitutional provision of the Prime Minister to Malaysian students in Manchester last month was exploited by irresponsible elements. He said this was done to intensify a sense of fear and insecurity of the Malays about the future, which, coupled with an unscrupulous and unprincipled use of lies, falsehoods, fake news and hate speech in the era of social media, make Malays feel that a non-Malay Prime Minister was imminent.
The proposal to restore local council elections continues to receive mixed reactions. While certain individuals claim it will have adverse effects for the Malays, some think otherwise.
Perak DAP leader Abdul Aziz Bari believes that if it's done properly, the Malays may benefit from local government elections instead of losing power as feared. He said Malay leaders who issued statements against the idea, which Federal Territories DAP chief Tan Kok Wai had recently suggested, should cease spooking the Malays with such fears. According to Aziz, states like Kelantan, Terengganu, Kedah and Perlis may see Malay-dominated local councils, and this could also be the scenario in Selangor and Kuala Lumpur. The constitutional expert also called out UMNO Supreme Council member Lokman Adam and Bersatu leader Wan Ahmad Faizal Wan Ahmad Kamal over their reported remarks on the matter. He said the duo assumed everybody votes along racial lines and it's time for them to wake up rather than be stuck in the past. He added that the move was a way to address grassroots complaints on matters affecting their daily lives. He also reminded them that the first general election in 1955 was rooted in the Kuala Lumpur Municipal Council election held 3 years prior and urged them to study more on the subject. The last time Malaysia held a local council election was in 1963. The next round, which was supposed to be held the following year, was suspended. The temporary suspension became permanent in 1976 when Parliament passed the Local Government Act, resulting in the abolishment of the local government election altogether and only provided for the appointment of local councillors.
Meanwhile, Dr. Zaliha Mustafa has not ruled out local council elections. However, she said a thorough discussion with stakeholders needs to be held before any decision is made. She also stressed that there are other priorities that need to be addressed first.
The new Federal Territories Minister has not ruled out the importance of local council elections, saying it will have to be looked into more closely. During her visit to KL City Hall, Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said she will personally discuss the matter with the Local Government Development Minister, Nga Kor Meng, as it falls under his ministry.
Dia sebenarnya di bawah KPKT lah, KPKT, dan saya tidak menolak akan kepentingannya, ya. Jadi apapun nanti kita akan berbincang dengan saya sendiri juga akan berbincang dengan menteri bagaimana mungkin benda ini perlu dilihat jugalah dan tinjau dengan lebih teliti lagi, insya-Allah, ya.
Earlier, Dr. Zaliha had stressed that there are more basic matters that need to be prioritized, including governance of strata properties. She said policy matters such as the implementation of the local council election require further discussions before any decisions are made. She added that a basic policy on the issue of local councils includes appointing committees and administration of joint management bodies or management corporations for strata properties in the federal territories. This came following a recent suggestion to restore local council elections, starting with Kuala Lumpur by Federal Territories DAP chief Tan Kok Wai. At present, Kuala Lumpur only has MPs and the federal government runs Kuala Lumpur City Hall.
Papagomo is being investigated by the police. This is over a video about Anwar that was allegedly defamatory.
Police are investigating blogger Wan Muhammad Azri Wan Deris for allegedly defaming Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. This is over a video titled DSAI Penyakit Misteri Tiada Penawar AIDS, translated to Anwar has mystery illness, no cure for AIDS. According to Bukit Aman CID Deputy Chief Rusdi Muhammad Isa, Wan Asri is being investigated under Section 14 of the Minor Offences Act for insulting behaviour, Section 504 of the Penal Code for intentional insult to breach the peace, and under Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act, which punishes online abusers. In a statement last night, he also reminded the public to refrain from any speculation that could disrupt investigations. The video is no longer accessible at the time of writing along with his YouTube page. However, postings by the blogger, better known as Papa Gomo and now Sir Asri on X, had him claiming Anwar was being punished for his alleged homosexuality. Anwar was charged in court for sodomy twice, but the federal court in 2004 overturned the conviction in the first case, while he was granted a full pardon in 2018 following his second conviction. The Pakatan Harapan leader, who has maintained innocence, said the full pardon was granted due to there being a travesty of justice in his case.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to Kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Kimilia. Thanks for watching.